How are you guys doing today? It's a fabulous day. The temperatures here in Tennessee have dropped a little bit, so it makes it more conducive to get out and do some of these DIY projects. So what are we doing today? I'm glad you asked. I want to upgrade the horn on this motorhome. It sounds like a moped horn, and that's a common thing. Most people do it right away. They do sell an upgrade kit. They're $160, and they're a little bit louder. And instead of it being a single horn, and here's what the single horn looks like. It sounds like a moped horn. It goes beep, beep. That's not going to do it, especially if you're driving down in South Florida. You got to lay on your horn. So I'm going to be upgrading it to this 650 decibel train horn. I put in a few of these before, but this is what you got to do to get people's attention, because people like to cut you off in Florida. That's just something they do. And I'm not just ragging on Florida, but Florida's bad, so I'm going to use them as an example. South Florida in particular. I've towed a lot of trailers down in Florida, as you know, with the campground. We moved a lot of RVs, so we did travel down to South Florida quite a bit. The further south you go, the more rude the people are, the more congested it gets, the more they want to cut you off. Truckers talk about it too. They have lots of problems down there. The further south you go, though, the food gets better too. They have fabulous cuisine down there. And the best ice cream in the world, Jackson's ice cream. Can't beat it. But getting back on topic, what we have to do here is remove this grill, which I've already kind of started this project a little bit, and I'll walk you through it, and I've not finished it yet. So all you have to do to remove this grill is remove 2 screws. There's one here and there's one there, and I've already done that, so I'm just going to lift this up out of place. And we'll set the camera down here. There's just 2 torque screws. They call them torque screws because they have a special head on them. It's just 2. They're real small. The rest of this just pulls out. They're just clips, and you just got to firmly pull on them. If you need to, you can use a flat tip screwdriver and give them a little encouragement. But we didn't have to do that here. It came off pretty easy. I had to pull in the bottom center, but it came right out. So this is just sitting here right now. So we're just going to move it out of the way. We'll set it over here so it doesn't get scratched or damaged. And now you can see it gives you really good access. Something else I'm going to do while I've got this pulled off, let me get you in here a little closer. I'm going to be working right here. There's a lot of bugs here. Some of these bugs are probably from Alaska. I haven't cleaned this since I've been back. You got the transmission cooler here, the oil cooler, the radiator, everything's right here. These things have to breathe. So getting the bugs out of here is pretty important. They do make a comb where you can comb them out. I'm going to try to put compressed air on them first, not too compressed air, because these fins are really delicate and they're made of aluminum, so it's not hard to bend them or damage them. So I will first put an air compressor to these and try to blow most of them bugs off. And then I'll probably just use a brush, not a wire brush, but just like a scrubbing brush, and see if the rest will just flake off of there. I think they'll come clean. I don't see anything here too out of the way. So I'll do that later. That's not part of this project. So yeah, here's the old horn. The old horn was mounted on a bracket right here. This way, actually. So I've been looking for a location for this horn. I have installed a couple of these before. My old truck had one. Old truck, I think I ended up mounting them something like this. And they were a separate piece. So you have the 2 horns, and you have an air compressor. Basically, this is a small air compressor. It's an air horn. So when you put power to it, it's going to blow. It's going to blow air through these horns, and it's really loud. I haven't even heard these horns yet, but they're 150 decibels louder than the ones I've bought previously, so I know they're loud. It comes just like you see it. I didn't put this together. I did put this bracket on there. These come in the package with it. It also comes with a relay. Now, the reason you want a relay is because you don't want to wire this thing right to the switch, because when you, what that does is it will send power from the battery around the switch, so you're not heating up the switch and melt the switch, because the switch wires are low voltage typically, and the voltage to the horns, you'll want a little more power for, for the compressor. In this case, I'm going to use the stock wiring to the horn, so I'm not having to mount a separate switch for the horns like I have previously done. On my motorcycle, I have a horn also, and it's a bigger one. I can show you that really quick. I had to do a separate wiring on that, a separate relay, and everything on that. It was a little more complicated to mount, but since my bike is right up here, I can kind of show you where it is. I'll flip the camera around, and I have it mounted. Can you see it right here? It's mounted on the fork pointing down. Look how long that is. So I didn't want something that long on this one. I'll flip back around. I wanted something a little smaller, and it's been a while since I bought that horn, so I know they've made improvements and modifications, and I found this one. This was $30 on Amazon. I mean, you can't beat that. And it has the compressor and the relay already built in, and it's already mounted on a frame. So all I had to do was add this frame, and I did have to fabricate a piece, because what I'm going to do, if you can see this, I'm going to mount it right here, and I'll tell you why I'm choosing this spot. You want the horns to face forward as much as you can. You want them to face in the direction that you want the blast to go. So ideally, you would like to mount them like straight ahead like that, right? Well, there's no real way to do that. You don't want them sticking out the grill. So the next best thing is to have them either going down or going to the side, but not back towards you, because it'll muffle. I could mount it up in the engine compartment too, and it would offer more protection to the horn. But you're going to get quite a bit of that horn in your cab, and you don't want that. You want that horn to go to that driver that's cutting you off. So I think this is the best place on this vehicle to mount it. It's already got a bracket here. I'm just going to repurpose it. I did have to fabricate it a little different, because the old horn has a single screw. It just went right through the hole you can see there. So what I'm doing is I fabricated a bracket. I had a piece of flat metal, and I just cut it. So I used my bench grinder and a hacksaw and a vise. And it's not perfect, but it gives me the right, and I drilled the 2 holes in there with the bits that I've also bought from an estate sale. So I'm using all these things for projects. So all I did was line these holes up with this and basically get this plate to be the same as that. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp them together around this bracket, so it'll give it more stability. Because if you, with the other horn, it was real small, it was real light, it was 1 bolt, and it's round, so if it moved around a little bit, it's not a big deal. You're not even going to notice it. But with this, if this starts to move, it's going to fall down. It's kind of heavy. It's got a little weight to it, maybe about 3 to 5 pounds. So it needs to be, held up. And being up behind the grill is going to give it some protection from, they can get wet. It's waterproof, but it's better if it doesn't. So it's up off the ground. I did look underneath to see if I couldn't mount them down underneath, but you're going to get a lot of grime, road debris, and rain and stuff like that the lower you go with the horn. So you really want to try to get it 2 to 3 feet off the ground. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. Another thing we had to do is I had to disconnect here. I had to cut the wires going into the stock horn, as you can see. Now this is not hot all the time. This is only hot when the ignition is on. So I had Therese get in there and turn on the ignition, and once I cut the old horn off, I used a trouble light. I have it right here. It's just your standard 12 volt trouble light, and it'll light up and give you the voltage to the wire that's hot. So I had to identify which wire was hot and which wire was the ground. So this is just, it's got a alligator clip on the other end, and you just connect it to a ground. all this in here is plastic and aluminum, doesn't conduct very well. So they actually have a mounting bolt to the chassis in this unit. So I just clipped it right to that, and I got a good ground. And I've already identified there's a brown wire and a blue wire. The blue wire has a red stripe on it. The blue wire is my hot wire. So when you come back to the horn, I have a black and red from factory. You want to hook the red to your hot. So the red will go to the blue, and the ground black wire will go to the brown wire. So we've already identified those wires, so I didn't make you struggle through me diagnosing that issue. What you might be watching me do here, because I have not yet done this, is this bracket is a little bit wide to go between these holes. So I may have to drill out a portion of this bracket in order to get the bolts to go through. But that's going to be my next step, because I'm going to clamp this clamp onto this going in the middle. So this will be the bracket that goes in between these two, and then I'm going to bolt them together. And these are the bolts that came with it. They're just factory bolts. Now I wish these were threaded lock wash bolts, but they're not. So what I used is a little bit of I didn't bring it out here to show you, but I used a little bit of thread locker. What it does is it helps to keep the screws from backing out over time, vibration and time being on the road. They could back off, and you end up, your bolts get loose and this drops down or falls off completely into the cavity down here. But so I use thread locker on the threads. I did that here, and I'll do that again on these bolts as well. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then once I get those connected, all I have to do then is connect the wires. And the way we're going to do that, I've got the crimp style crimpers that I could use. But I want to heat shrink them or tape them up. I could go either way. I've got a couple different ways I could wire this. But what I'm going to do is I strip these wires about 1/2 inch down, which is pretty far. And I'm just going to twist tie them. And then I'm going to tape them up. And then I've got some heat shrink. This stuff is great. Heat shrink is like a plastic tubular. You run the wires through it, and then you use a heat source or a lighter or torch, and you heat it, and a heat shrink, it does just that. It shrinks down around the wires, and it waterproofs it, and it tightens it so it can't come loose. So I love these inventions. These are great. And I had some of this stuff. I keep that. So that's the way we're going to do it. And then once it's all heat shrunk and you got the two separate wires running, I'll take some just some basic electric tape and run them together. And this is more not for insulation, but it's more just to keep it from pulling apart from the vibration. So I'll wrap the whole thing, and then when I'm totally done with that, we'll take these. I got a couple zip ties here because there'll be some loose wires, and I'll zip tie it, over to the back here out of the way so it doesn't get in the way of the radiator at all or anything like that. So that's our project for today. So I'm going to move to the next step and get this mounted. Okay, we're back at it. Okay, we got it mounted. You check it out. Get my ugly mug out of the way here. So I got the two screws over here, and it worked just like I said. I did have to do a little grinding on this bracket, the stock bracket on the vehicle, because it was a little too wide. So I just grind it off a little bit until it would slide on. Once I slid it on, I just tightened these bolts down real tight, and I put a little thread locker on the nuts before I got them all the way down tight. And that's it. And then on the wiring here, if you can see it, I'll pull it back out. Red to hot and the black to ground. And what I ended up doing is I just twisted them and then folded it back on itself. The stock wires on the van here were stiffer than the ones on the horn, so I doubled it back onto itself this way because it was stronger. And then I slid the heat shrink tube down over it and heated it up, and then you end up with a pretty good finished product here. What I'm going to do, though, I think I will, just to kind of give it a little reinforcement here, is I'm going to tape this just with the electric tape. I don't really need to, but I think I'm going to, just because, just to give it a little extra rigidity so they don't pull apart. And that's really it. Now we just got to test to see if it works. Are you guys ready? All right. Well, I'm going to leave the camera here. I got to go up into the, I wired it to the stock horn on the, there's no extra switches for this horn. So when I push the horn for the vehicle in the center of the steering wheel, you're going to hear it. And let's go. Check that out. I think they can hear that. I like it. It's not quite as, it doesn't have the bass that my truck horn had or the bike horn has. It's more of a boop, more of a train horn, a traditional train horn. This is a higher pitch, but it's plenty loud. And it's in a position, most people will try and cut you off, and it's going to either blow right at them, or, you know, the sound is going to hit them. And I've used train horns on people that have cut me off before, and usually what happens is they're like, oh, and they get all squirrely because they didn't realize somebody was right there. So it just reminds them to check their mirrors, double check, look back, look twice, turn once. But people just don't think when they're cutting off trucks and rigs that are heavy like a motorhome and we're towing a Jeep. That's a lot of weight, and we can't stop as fast as other small vehicles can. Now, if he was cutting me off in that Miata, I could stop. That thing stops about as fast as that motorcycle does, so I can stop. It's evasive and it's quick. They still shouldn't be cutting you off, but you have more, you drive the Miata like you ride the motorcycle. You always think defensively. If that guy gets too close, what is my evasive action going to be? And these are things that you automatically think when you're riding a bike. It's a learned skill. It's something you do when you're riding and you have enough close calls, and you start thinking, you know, giving people more space and them giving you space, and just be careful with motorcycles, you know, because if they do wreck, they normally hurt. They normally don't survive those. And similar with the Miata. Now you can survive it. You have airbags and there's seat belts that you don't have on a motorcycle. So it's a little better than the bike. You got good visibility, but you have evasive maneuvers. So always be thinking, if this guy brake checks me, where am I going to go? Don't wait till he brake checks you, or don't tailgate him. Get out of the way, or have an evasive plan to get out of the way. Is that left lane clear? You're thinking, he's kind of, you know, riding the brakes a little bit. So I'm looking at my left lane. I'm looking at my right lane. My shoulder, is there a shoulder? Can I get on it if I have to? You're thinking about these subliminally as you drive. So defensive driving is important. Same thing in this motorhome. A little bit different. You have to allow more space because they're not as evasive. If I turn the wheel real hard and cut into another lane, one, you probably don't have time to check a mirror. You have to. It's better to sideswipe somebody than to hit a stationary object, which is also better than a head-on collision. So you have to pick your poison. So better to hit someone going in the same speed as you or same direction than it is to hit someone that stopped, or a pole or a post or a concrete barrier or anything like that. But you're always thinking about these things. Motorcycle riders, they got it. They don't really, maybe they don't express it, but they're doing the same things. They're looking for an evasive avenue in case they have to ditch their intended travel path. Same in this, except you got to give more space because you don't have the maneuverability to evade and to brake quickly. So my ulterior defense, horn, get their attention. Maybe they get out of the way. Maybe they speed up. Let you know that, hey, I'm bigger than you. You need to give me some room. Most of them will. Most of them will speed up and realize, especially coming on an entrance ramp. People absolutely do not know how to use an entrance ramp. You have to speed up. You cannot stop on an entrance ramp. Not only is it dangerous for the people on the highway going 65, it's dangerous for the other people on the exit, on the entrance ramp behind you They're not expecting you to stop. Even if there's a caution triangle on the entrance ramp, which there's not a lot of those because you are supposed to accelerate. There should be an acceleration lane. Some of them are very short. So it's not, when you're on the acceleration lane getting ready to merge, that's not the time to check and look back to see if there's a vacancy. You need to know there's a vacancy before you get to that point because that's too late. When you're coming off the overpass and you're coming onto the entrance ramp, that's when you should start to look at the traffic flow. Now, you may not know if they're in the near lane or second or third lane, but you'll know enough. You'll see those lanes, and if you see trucks, they're normally in that right lane. They're normally hugging that right lane because they're not supposed to drive in that left lane. So when you come down your entrance ramp, you should be picking up speed. Don't wait to pick up speed. Pick up speed. You should be going 50, 55 to merge into 65. Okay, because you need to quickly get in and get out. So if you need to get in front of somebody, you make that adjustment as you're coming into the merge. When the merge is actually happening, don't wait to merge. Merge as soon as you can. And if you can get in front, good. Get in front and move on. Don't make him have to hit his brakes. Remember, you're the one that has to yield. The people in the interstate on the highway do not have to make room for you. It's if they're able to and they move over and let you in, that's great. But that is not the rule of law. The rule of law is you yield to them. They do not have to move out of that right lane. So you need to either be ahead and speed up. Don't be afraid to hit the gas. That's what that's for. You speed up to get ahead, and then you can get down to your driving speed. Or you slow down slightly, but don't brake. Just let off the accelerator. Let them get ahead of you, and then be ready to hit that accelerator as soon as they are ahead of you. Don't wait. Don't wait until it's clear. It's not a stop sign. Keep rolling. Never go slower than 30, 35 on an entrance ramp. You need to be going 50, 55, 60. Anyway, I'm beating a dead horse. That's a big pet peeve of mine is people, usually you get cut off in these, or people merging onto the highway and they don't know how to merge. Merging means go, 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 go. So when you see a merge, go. Anyway, train horn. Well, I don't know if it's called a train horn. It's a horn. It's an air horn, and it's much louder than what was on here. I'm very happy with it. Oh, price. $30 on Amazon. Mercedes Sprinter van, which is what this is, whether it has a motorhome on it or not, doesn't matter. The chassis is what you're dealing with. They do make one for this, and you unbolt these two bolts here. This is a plastic bracket, and it goes in behind it, and it puts something that looks like this. There's two of them. It puts one here, and it puts one here on a bracket that comes with it. You know how much they want for it? And it's not much louder than this. $160. So you want $160 that's a little bit louder, or do you want $30 that's about 5 times louder? I picked this one. You guys drive safe. Thanks for joining us. Another Matter Matters DIY, do-it-yourself project here at the cabin house in the garage. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Hey guys, how you guys doing today? So we got another DIY project. In fact, we got 2 more, but we're just dealing with one right now. This mailbox, even though it's cute, it matches the house. It's old, it's small, and it's missing a piece, and our mail gets wet. So this whole thing, I just need to replace it. It's too small. It doesn't take a whole lot of packages, and being a mail carrier, I know that the mail carrier is like the bigger the box, the better. So we did go ahead and get one. I think it looks like it just unscrews in here. And so I'm gonna start on that, and I'll show you over here what we got. We just picked it up. These boxes retail for about 120 bucks in the box store. I know it was bought on a pallet, like an Amazon pallet, and the lady dropped the price twice, and we got a good deal because she got sick and delayed meeting with her, and then we met with her, and because she was so appreciative that we waited and still got it, didn't flake out on her, that we got this box for 40 bucks. Can't beat it. It's brand new. Let me show it to you. These are nice. These are actually called parcel boxes. It's like a big mailbox. It's all metal too. Metal flag, metal door, and look at all the space. It's brand new. It even came with the instructions. But I can see the holes there. It looks like it's a pretty easy thing to do. Should mount right to that post. And here are the instructions. And it looks pretty straightforward. It's just one page, basically a template. And I'm excited to get this new mailbox up. And I know the mail delivery person will be glad to see a bigger box too. They love the bigger boxes. That's less dismounts. So let's get started. All right, I took it off. It was just 2 screws. And I like this metal plate that's here. And it looks like it's definitely a metal post. And it's got the numbers on it. They're in good shape. Yeah, it's good and sturdy. It might even be in concrete. I don't know. But this is a good stand. Gives me a lot of options for the holes, and hopefully some of them will line up with the ones in there, and if they don't, we'll drill some holes. So it was just being held by these 2 screws, and that's really it. And we're going to repurpose this. It's cute, but it's probably going to be I don't know what we're going to do with it yet. We might put it on a tree back there and let the squirrels have fun with it, let the birds have fun with it. We'll do something with it. It is cute, and I like the idea of it. It's just small, and the big thing is our mail gets wet. And so these are definitely the boxes that letter carriers love, because you can get a lot of stuff in there. A lot of Amazon packages will fit in there, and you don't have to dismount and deliver them to the door. So yeah, let's see if we can get it mounted. All right, I finished this install. What do you guys think? It's good and sturdy. I got 4 bolts in it, and they did match up with the template, so I didn't have to do any drilling. It was pretty easy. I just had to find some nuts and bolts because the mailbox didn't come with hardware. I think it's the post that comes with the hardware. So I had to mix and match, but I got it all done, and it looks good. I'm happy with it. And in case you were ever wondering, if you're installing a mailbox, either replacing one or putting in a new one, these are the dimensions. This is approved by the Postmaster General. This mailbox is. It's stamped right on there. It says it. You are supposed to be 41 to 45 inches in height off the road surface, and then 6 to 8 inches from the front of the box off the curb, in case you were ever wondering. I measured this, and I'm right at 8 inches off the curb, but it's about 40 inches high, so it's actually about an inch too short. But that's not something I'm not gonna change that. It is what it is. I mean, I could, if I had to, I could put a board in there as a spacer and lift it an inch, but I don't think anybody's gonna complain about it. I think the delivery lady's gonna like it. There'll be less times at my address that she has to get out and drop a package. Very happy with it. And that concludes that. It was pretty easy. 4 bolts, and that's it.